ML Sports Take brought to you by Batavia Downs Gaming and St. Bonaventure University's online masters in journalism. Make sure you log on to sbujournalism.com today. Become a Bonnie in under 2 years. You can get that degree at sbujournalism.com and check out all the other degrees while you're at it. 76-59 VCU takes care of St. Bonaventure. Couple takeaways, more than a couple, I guess. First of all, this game went exactly as I thought it would. It went according to plan. I had a couple people posting on my stuff during the week, 4 games until the Bonnies dance, and I wanted to reply to you like, good luck with that, but, didn't want to be the negative guy here. This team just not good enough. They're just not deep enough. They're not good enough. They don't have the stamina. The coaching isn't good enough. And, VCU just bigger, faster, stronger, offensive rebounding, defensive rebounding, just complete stamina, complete depth and length and stretching of a roster. And they're a dangerous team. This is a team that could, not only win the A-10 tournament, but, in the NCAAs, they could make some real noise. Big problem. They could be a big problem for anybody. They can take you out of your element. They guard you close. They've got a bunch of different systems. And this is what happens when you build a basketball house. I always talk about this. If a head coach leaves a program, if you have it in good standing, if you've built the culture and you've built the DNA and you've built the players who come in and out of there, even with this portal NIL bullshit that's going on, you still can be good most years in a row. You can still sustain that. And this is still back to Shaka Smart's teams, man. This is still the Final Four VCU teams. They're still kind of playing like those clubs. And Bonaventure was just overwhelmed today. When you go to the first half, this game right out of the chute, you're like, I don't know how the heck Bonaventure is going to keep up with these guys, right? That's just how I felt. It was Council makes a 3, but then, you could tell that he was going to have to grind this thing out. And a lot of, mid-range jump shots and three-point shots and, some of the ones that fell yesterday were just a little off, just a little front rim, just a little off on the rim. And Chance Moore, I thought, played a pretty good game. But, again, I feel like he is kind of an X factor for this offense because of how his length and how he can stretch things and his size, and he just doesn't get enough touches. He doesn't get enough maybe to the mid-range, and he can still blow by guys. And I don't think that there's enough designed offense for this guy in the offense. And I think that you saw that again today. I think that they could have done a lot more through him instead of, again, over and over again, this Noel Brown thing. And that's another thing too. That offense, the system has got to change. They have got to stop this big guy stuff let's just go to the bailout. We don't really have a play that we're running, so we're just going to chuck it into him. And there's weak side defense coming over. The guy has no dribbling ability. You bring him way out to the top, and defenses know what's going to happen. He knows he's going to put the ball down a little too low. He's going to lose it, or he's going to put it up high when he doesn't see the guy come over, down low or up high. It's a tale as old as time with this offense. They did it with Chad Venning. They're doing it this year. Unless you have Andrew Nicholson, you can't do this shit. And Nicholson, though, is a totally different animal. He went to the NBA. He's one of the all-world players Bona's had. He shoots the ball from the outside. He can play inside, outside. He can set screens. He's got basketball IQ. He's got great footwork. This offense and this Noel Brown stuff is just so... It's infuriating. Honestly, I almost turned the game off today. The second or third time they went to him there in a row, I think in the second half, and he turned the ball over multiple possessions. I almost just said, screw this. I'm done. And I would have been if I didn't have to talk about this. I'm going to get to that a little bit later, too, with... I don't even know if it's an announcement, but just some thoughts to wrap the video here. But it's so frustrating and so infuriating when you have other options and better guys to go to, and can't you do something more with more? Can't you do something else, besides having Council try to bail you out all the time? It's so frustrating. And so in the beginning of the game, it's a 5-point, a 7-point game. And with 8-10 left, VCU's up 7. And you're like, I don't see any difference now than 5 minutes in the future, 10 minutes in the future, in the second half with how this game is going to go. It was 8, it was 6, it was 4, it was 7, it was 9, it was 5. And when it's like that, you just can't get up over the hurdle on VCU. You can't get to better than a 4 or 5 point deal. And even in the second half, Bonaventure goes on that 8-0 run. By the way, the Bonnies were down by 10 at halftime. And I thought, might be a little lucky to be only down 10 right at the half. Fast forward to the second half, you have the 8-0 run. You have a couple of little stretches there. And again, they hustled. They tried on the boards. And, the rebounding advantage was only by a few. And I'm going to get to the box score in a minute, too. But a lot of that happened to be like the circus playing and just taking chances back and forth. And you're starting to play like crazy, reckless comeback ball, and balls are bouncing all over the place. And so you're getting a few to kind of cut the edge, but they're still in control of the game. They're still in control of rebounding, and they're still in control of the lead. But there's a couple that you're getting here and there. But even with the 8-0 run, I really never felt great about it. Brown makes that jumper to cut it to 5, 43-38 as well. That's another point. Point in time, Jennings comes back, and then they get some free throws. Then it's an 8-point game. It's a 10-point game after Clark makes a shot. And then you're going on, and then tick-tock, right? The game goes to 10. It goes to 7. It goes to 4. Clark makes a three-pointer to get back up to 9. You're like, they just can't get it close. They can't even get it to a one-possession game here, because that's how VCU plays. They just have this stranglehold on you. Even Council making that three-point jump shot was where he looked the best today. That still got him to within 12. So it just wasn't meant to be. VCU is a better, deeper, stronger team. They have more stamina. They've got better players. They have better coaching. They're the 1 seed for a reason. They're a team that can wreak havoc in March. Council's still trying to do everything he can in this game. He cuts it to 12 with a layup, but at that point, it's 2-10 in the game, and the game's over at that point. There's nowhere to go. And I just wish with this season, it's not even about who they played, because I've been hearing about that a lot. They played so many powder puff teams and didn't schedule tough enough competition. Does it matter? Does it matter if you schedule this slate, or does it matter if you schedule this slate with 2 or 3 tougher opponents and you still don't make the tournament? At this point, the difficulty to get an at-large for Bonaventure in this climate of college basketball, does it really matter which way you go? Do you have to schedule multiple tournaments with 2 or 3 ranked teams, or do you schedule what they had this year? Do you find some kind of in the middle, middle ground? I don't know what the proper way is to an at-large at this point, because it's so freaking challenging. Even if you have one bad loss to a Canisius, or you have one bad loss to a Siena, or you have a bad loss, on the road to a bottom feeder A10 team, that counts for 3 losses for Bonaventure, basically. And I've always hated that. And I'm not going to go down that road today, because we already know how it is, and my feeling on it. It's super frustrating. So I don't know what the magic formula is for the schedule, but it would have been nice to have at least seen Bonaventure with maybe one extra guy, or the point guard situation working out a little bit better and healthier, so that maybe Council doesn't have to do that much at the point, and he can do a little bit of off guarding. This was a super frustrating year. It was a super frustrating finish to the year. This is a team that started fresh, started strong. I know a lot of it was against the inferior opponents. I get it. I think the LaSalle game really, really changed things for St. Bonnie as well. And then when you go into this game too, you dive deep into the box score, you really can't, ask more out of Council. Give me one more minute, okay? You can't really ask more out of Council in this game. He's a guy who was gutting it out. He was gutting it out in the tournament. He was gutting it out during the last 6, 7, 8 games. You could tell he was losing legs. And he's a go-to guy. He's one of the top 2, 3 players on this team who has to perform. If he doesn't do anything, they have little to no chance. And in this game, he provides 19 points. He basically bailed them out yesterday in the comeback against Duquesne. And, even with the 19 points and the 9 rebounds, he was the second leading rebounder on this team. He's the freaking point guard, man. And so, Brown had 1 rebound in 33 minutes. And that's the other thing with Noel Brown. Not only are they going to him offensively, he can't create his own shot from anywhere on the floor. And I don't want to hear from somebody oh, well, he's not supposed to. He's a big guy. There's 6'8", 6'9", 6'10 guys in the country who can play inside, outside. If you watch enough college basketball, you know that it's a positionless game now. He can't create his own shot inside. He can't create anything outside. They're pulling him outside. They're ruining the offense by doing so. He's been a complete and utter disaster this year. He hasn't gotten better year to year, and he hasn't gotten better this year. And some of it's on him, and the other part's on the coaching, because they keep giving him the ball. I mean, enough's enough. They should have diagrammed more plays for Chance Moore today and during the year. But against a VCU team, he gets really exposed because he can't even get rebounds. That's the other big thing. Like, against inferior opponents, he can get some rebounds and he can score. In a game like today, he gets 6 points and 1 rebound. He's basically not even, it's pointless to even give the ball to him on offense. And yet, you're taking possessions away by you keep feeding him and feeding him and feeding him. He had 4 turnovers. After the first 2 turnovers, you still give it back to him again. I just don't understand it. I don't get, like, what is said in the huddle? What is going, Mark Schmidt is one of the best offensive play callers. He's got this big Bible of plays. Why is Noel Brown just feed him the ball for the fun of it, one of those plays? I don't understand it unless a teammate's giving it to him just because. Do they see something that's not what I don't understand. Like, it's either the play call or it's a player decision, whatever the case may be. It's driven me crazy all year. It drives me nuts going back to the venting time. It drives me nuts going back to all these plays where you pull out the big guy and try to, like, make, orange juice out of lemons. It just doesn't make any sense. And Hinton was awful today. There was a play where he, you knew he was chucking that ball in the first half, right? I mean, he's kind of like dribbling around. There's nothing. Oh, I'm just going to bomb it. Could have easily just sat and reset the offense. There was about, I don't know, there were probably 14, 15 seconds left on the shot clock, maybe more. And he just says, nah, I'm just going to chuck the ball. Like, he kills offensive sets as well. So when you have 2 guys like this out of your 5, and you're not a deep team to begin with, I mean, what are you doing? Where are you going? Especially against a team like VCU. What are you doing offensively? If you get 6 points out of 2 of your starters and they kill offensive sets, whether it's their decision making or a coaching decision to keep feeding it to Brown or something for Hinton. When you have 2 guys completely not relevant, and then you're going to tell Council, Jones, and Moore that it's all on them, and then you're not going to diagram enough plays for Moore. It just doesn't make any sense. And then you've got nothing off the bench. I mean, Bologna and Rose, really? Those 2 guys off the bench against the VCU group of Jackson and Bell and Jennings and company? Good luck. Furman? I mean, please. Bell and Furman give you 4 points combined, but the other 2, Jennings and Jackson, give you 26 off the bench, and they're all over the place, and Bell's giving you, Bell had 10 rebounds in this game. They were collectively checking every box in the box score. And then you've got Bonaventure's 2 guys who, like, do nothing, and then 2 starters do nothing. I mean, you're going, come on. And you have no legs to begin with. You've had no depth the entire year, and you're going up against that team. I mean, seriously, this was a complete mismatch right from the beginning. I applaud Melvin Council Jr. for his unreal dog mentality, his unbelievable effort all year. 19 points, 9 rebounds today. He was at the center along with Jones yesterday in terms of the comeback. He had a great year. I loved watching him play college basketball before this, but, you can only ask a guy to do so much. Jones, meanwhile, had a horrendous shooting game today. There was one play where he was in the corner, and people will probably remember this, maybe halfway through the game. He's begging for somebody. He's stuck. He doesn't have his dribble. He is stuck. And people are just standing around. He's waving somebody to come in. I'm assuming they had timeouts. There was no timeout called. VCU suffocating Bonaventure's offensive guys up top, I think Council included. Nobody's going to the ball. Nobody's helping him. I mean, it's like, what is happening with the IQ of this basketball team? So many instances of this. Defensively, not covering the corners on the threes. Misexecution on offense, passing it into the bleachers, not knowing where people are, not helping teammates out when they don't have their dribble. I mean, you look at these things, they teach you some of these things in basketball camp, man. And, like, he's out there on the corner, on the corner wing, not quite like the corner, but, like, if the corner's here and the top, he's like right about here, and the basket's over, and he has no help. So what does he do? He takes one step and just chucks the ball up to the rim because he's got no other option. He has no help. Nobody's coming to get the basketball. So this season was just incredibly frustrating. This team got worse and worse and worse as the season went on. The chemistry got worse and worse and worse. The depth got worse and worse and worse. The development got worse and worse and worse. And now in the NIL portal era, you have no idea who's coming back. I know there's going to be people out there who are like, oh, congratulations, they won 22 games, blah, blah, blah. You can think that. You can do whatever you want. I honestly don't care. Yeah, you can have your own opinion. It doesn't matter to me. I'm not going to criticize it one way or the other. We all love the Bonnies no matter what, and this year was what it was. That's just the bottom line. But from a pure basketball standpoint and all the rest, it was an incredibly frustrating season. Once the fast start started, oh boy, and then that LaSalle game again really took a lot of air out of the balloon, and then they probably never really recovered, and then they had a lot of the other moments there, and the point guard situation was a mess from the start. I get it, and so, it is what it is. Couple of final things here. Number one, who knows who comes back roster-wise? I don't know, but I think the identity of the offense must change. I think no matter who's on the roster, I think it's got to stop this pulling out of big man stuff and relying on somebody who's completely just not there. Stop centering your offense on a guy who just lacks so much offensive skill. It just doesn't make any sense. I don't care. I mean, unless you bring in another Nicholson to be able to pull that off. And again, Nicholson was a forward. He wasn't a center. But you get my point. 6'8", 6'9"-ish and up. Just enough already. I mean, you got to be uber skilled, ultra talented to be able to pull the offensive playbook and run it like that through someone like that. I'm so sick of watching that go on with this offense. I'm so tired of feeding Brown all the time. I mean, literally, like the fact that I didn't turn games off this year is a freaking miracle. And then the next thing I will say is this, is that, and look, I love the Bonnies. I love my school. I always will. I don't know if I'm going to do these videos next year. I really don't. If I do them, it will be for a couple reasons. Number one, obviously, it's good for my platform, obviously, to cover my alma mater. And it's another, it's a topic that I can cover consistently. It's content that I can get out there. Obviously keeps me connected watching the games. I'm going to watch them anyways. So that's number one. Number two, it would be for you, for everybody out there, the support. I mean, I can't tell you, when I walk into the RC or I walk into, NCAA tournament games, or I go to events, and I haven't been to anything in a while. It's just, life's just so crazy. Or I walk into the Burton before a game and have a burger with some buddies, and just people just coming up to me and saying hi, and, alumni events or whatever else. Or I go around in central New York and I run into some people at a grocery store or whatever, and people walk up like, hey, I catch your videos and stuff. And they're Bonnet people. They're either fans or alum, whatever. So it means a lot to me that the support's been there and people have been, they know who I am and they like the videos and all that. So it would be for you. And the recognition is great. Obviously, I get some decent traffic with the YouTube stuff as well. So again, good for my platform, and I would do it for you. But, and I wasn't going to get into this at all on the last video of the year, but because I don't think they're going to play in the NIT myself. I don't think they're going to get an invite. I don't think there are enough spots. I think there's probably 3-4 teams in the A-10 ahead of them in terms of invites. And who knows, maybe if they got invited, they wouldn't take it anyway, right? Like last year. And we'd have to find out on ESPN again. But I don't know if I'm going to do these again next year. And the reason that I wouldn't do them is because I'm just really frustrated. I'm a St. Bonaventure alum. I think I've made it pretty noted, like many of you, how much I love my school. I love the program. I support everything and anything Bona. I've helped kids get, look at St. Bonnie. I have a really dear friend of mine from grade school whose son is probably going to go there, and I've been pushing Bona like crazy on them. Not like overbearing, but like, hey, here's what Bona can do for you. Here's what the school is. My dad's first cousin's grandson is there right now, and he's in the journalism school. And they were deciding on certain things, and I, really, just kept at it. Just, hey, here's this, here's that. I help, and if he doesn't go there, that's okay. But I'd like to think that a lot of my input and a lot of help and this and that has encouraged some kids to think even extra about going there. And I've done nothing but support the program. I mean, the constructive criticism and all that of games, like, who cares? I mean, everybody does that. People they criticize me like crazy. Sports media, you have an opinion, you have takes, you have this, you have that, and it's part of your job, and you're going to get criticism. I mean, that's part of it. So if anybody in that area or in the athletic department is like, oh, I hate Mike Lindsley because he says something bad about our team. I love this basketball team as much as anybody does. But the fact that I can't get emails back when I request coaches and I request players, And my platform through the years and my radio shows through the years have gotten, over 30, 35, 40 baseball Hall of Famers. I've interviewed Bob Costas. I've interviewed Paul Bissonnette from Spittin' Chicklets and TNT Hockey and Barstool Sports. And I've gotten major people on. I've interviewed Gilbert Perreault. I've interviewed Thurman Thomas and Jim Kelly. I've interviewed Jim Brown. I've interviewed Derek Jeter. I've interviewed all kinds of people, man. I've interviewed a lot. I'll be done in 1 minute, okay? And so it's just incredibly frustrating. I remember when Micah Adams Woods and Charles Pride decided to go to St. Bonaventure, and I was like, this is incredible. I covered both their Section 3 careers in Syracuse, and I sent over a dozen emails and made over a dozen connections between emails and calls to get one of those guys on to chat about hoops, their careers. I got no response. And when this happens, you get frustrated. And so I don't right now feel like a graduate of the school. I don't feel like I went to journalism school there. I don't feel like, I'm incredibly disappointed, and it hurts. And I'm not asking for people to like throw flowers like, oh, poor Mike. I'm just explaining why I might not do the videos next year, because I like to think that I've been fair. I'd like to think that, I cover the team. I care about the team. I've emailed people constantly to come on, Woj included. I've emailed to have players come on, coaches come on. I text Mark often after wins and congratulations, wishing good luck and all that. I've stopped that. I've pulled back from a lot of things in terms of going overboard in my love for St. Bonaventure, because right now I just don't feel like a part of the Bona family. As an alum, as a fan, as a media guy, I don't even feel like I went to school there. And right now, you look at this program, they go on the road, nobody covers them on the road. I mean, who covers them? Where's the coverage? I mean, if you have Team Unfurl and you need all this money, you'd think that you'd want to do interviews. You'd think that you'd want to do interviews on a show that is going to advertise it, which I would put in $30 to $40 for the interview probably on Facebook and get at least, I would say 12, 15, 20,000 views there, plus YouTube, plus all you folks watching. And so I'm just extremely frustrated. Again, I don't need flowers. I don't need I'm sorries. I don't need, we got bigger fish to fry than basketball at the end of the day, right? I mean, when I found my mom a couple years ago, dead, I just stopped caring about a lot of stuff. So, if I turned the game off today, I probably wouldn't have cared in the long run anyways, because it's just, life is so much bigger than a basketball game probably. But, as you can see behind me, so, it just, I don't know. I'm so frustrated. I've never been more frustrated. I got carpal tunnel sending emails. I got deaf calling. And I'm tired of it. So, I do want to, though, thank a few people down there for continuing to respond to me and support me and, recognize me and respect me. And those three people would be, in no particular order, Steve Mest, Aaron Schimble, and Jim Crowley. I can always count on those people. I can count on emails back. I can count on support. I can count on thank yous. I can count on emails back. I can count on everything from those three people. Aaron has helped me out a ton. I spoke to a journalism class, a couple of them actually, a couple years ago. And I will do it again if I'm on campus for him and for that journalism school. Jim, I consider a friend as well. Covered the women's team when I was there. No better person in basketball and in life than Jim Crowley. And, Steve Mest, I remember emailing him this year, when I saw him on one of the broadcasts, and just said, hey, caught the interview, like, great job, blah, blah, blah. And he responded, thanks, exclamation point. Just a response, man. Like a response. So anyway, we'll see what's next for the Bonnies. Mike Lindsley with you here. Went a little long today. ML Sports Take brought to you by our good friends at Stumble and Monkey Brewing Company, Camillus Golf Club, Western OTB, and St. Bonaventure University's online master's in journalism. Log on to sbujournalism.com. Get your master's degree today in under 2 years in journalism, plus a plethora of other degrees. You can visit sbujournalism.com right now. As I always tell you, enjoy the games.